Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss The Magnificent Sevens. So we're going to watch the modern version directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt. And we're also going to jump back in time, Matt, and watch the original 1960 version as well. How excited are you?
So excited I can barely put myself off mute. I'm really excited to talk about all this.
I appreciate that. I will tell you what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's October 4th. And then it's going to be the return of What Are the Odds? It's our Vegas odds-making game where Matt and I have to apply the odds of something happening or not happening. And, of course, once the event actually does possibly occur, we do never go back to it. So let's hear a clip from The Magnificent Seven.
Man carries a gun, he tends to use it.
Dan, you dead? Pity.
I had just ordered a drink from that man.
Took a job looking for some men to join me.
Is it difficult?
Impossible.
How many you got so far?
You and me,
Who's she?
we work for her.
Good Lord.
That's right.
That man murdered my husband.
I want something. I take it.
He will take everything we have.
So you seek revenge.
I seek righteousness, but I'll take revenge.
I need more than a few to help us fight.
What a bunch of misfits we are.
You know how to shoot that thing? I'm good.
So am I.
He's local, my friend.
Oh, we're good. We got a Mexican.
I sense we are bonding.
Oh. We got a 7.
He's got an army.
And they'll be murdered.
By the world's greatest lover.
Why are you here? Fighting someone else's fight.
These people deserve their lives back.
Just make sure we're fighting the battle in front of us, not the battle behind.
Every man's got the right to choose where he dies.
Matt, I am on the record as not being an Antoine Fuqua guy, right? I have yet to really see a film of his that I've really enjoyed. I think most of his films just are just these flat, kind of hollow, paint by numbers. There's no style, there's no life, there's no breath in any of his films. So I came into this movie with a little, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not retribution. but I feel maybe that may apply. But I was a little apprehensive, right, about checking this thing out.
You were. I mean, you have a real hate for Antoine Fuqua. Like, and I don't understand it. I mean, I understand that he's not particularly a good director, but I don't know if he's worth. I don't know if he's worth all the loathing that you expend on him.
It's the frustration because he gets his hands on these projects and he releases these things. He works with good actors most of the time, and then when he delivers kind of just subpar meandering stuff, it's just frustrating because I can see there's something there, maybe something that could have developed into a great film, and he misses every single time. So Matt, and then we're going to add in the fact that we're dealing with potentially a classic film, a remake of The Magnificent Seven, which, by the way, there's something else coming up, and What Are the Odds, folks, you're going to listen to that I don't even know how to handle. So we'll get into that at the end of the show. But Matt, let me just ask you: do I need to finally get over it? Is this updated version of Magnificent Seven? Will that right the ship for me for Antoine Fuqua? What did you think of it?
No, it's not going to right the ship for you. I mean, it's fine. It's it's slick. It's got modern actors. It's got modern pacing. It's got, admittedly exciting but ultimately forgettable action scenes in it. It's basically just kind of your middle of the road, not high expectations, modern action movie. I mean, it's not gonna make you a believer if you're not, and it's not gonna be if you're, I guess, Antoine Fuqua's mom or his biggest fan or something. It's not going to say that that's his best film kind of thing.
Yeah. Now it's, again, for me, this possibly was even more frustrating than some of his other films for me, because the way this thing, I'm not gonna lie to you, Matt, the way this thing starts off, it is a kick in the pants. All right, I mean, this thing I think is fantastic in the beginning, right? Where our villain is better than perhaps in the original film. I think this has a superior opening. Okay, but there's a more interesting, a much more diverse cast in this film. All right, and I think that goes to what you're saying before too. And I don't want to get too much into this because we're going to talk about this later. But it's definitely been modernized in every way that word can be used when talking about a movie that's 50 years old. So, but that's what kills me is that I love the opening of this film. I thought that Sarsgaard is a really interesting for me villain. But again, frustrating as all hell. Because by the time once we really get into this and we get into Denzel's character shows up and we start gathering all of our heroes, the film basically just falls apart for me. It's frustrating because all the characters individually and all the actors, I think, do a really good job in this film. It's the same complaint I have with Training Day, right? Where that is not a great film that's only buoyed by the fact of Denzel's performance, which he won an Oscar for. So, but the rest of it's just flat. It's paint by numbers, and I feel like the movie's not even a Western. You know, I feel like it's just it's the facade of which Fuqua hangs his, again, hollow action film. Now, I will say it's better than I think most of the films he's done. I think there is improvement here, but the core of what he delivers of just instantly forgettable and stories and plot lines and characterizations that just don't work. And a couple of things, and especially like Denzel. So Denzel's given this revenge arc that's not in the original film, but there's an underlying theme for what he's doing and why he's taken on this mission. And when the final reveal is made too, there's no emotional impact with it whatsoever. It just unfolds, and you're like, yeah, all right, fine. And that's the problem with this whole film. I agree. I think the best word you use too, I think, for this is forgettable. There is really nothing memorable, and which is frustrating because you have Chris Pratt, right, who's one of the bigger stars in Hollywood right now. His Faraday character, which he's playing the Steve McQueen role in this film from the original. Even that is still, it's fine, but there's still no spark or life to it for me. And the most interesting character probably in this for me was Vince D'Onofrio. Because when he shows up, right, as what's his name, Nick Horn, when he shows up, he's got this really odd accent with this elevated voice that I love that for some reason he seems to abandon halfway through the film. I don't know. Well, maybe I shouldn't say abandon it, but he tempers it. It's not as pronounced or as it is when we first get introduced to him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's just for me. That's what it is for me. Again, it's Fuqua, and Fuqua equals forgettable. I think is really what it is. But I'm more frustrated because I think it opens really strongly, and then just totally unwinds, and all the tension leaves, and blah.
Well, what's interesting is this film was actually written or co-written by Nick Pizzolatto. I'm not sure if I'm butchering his Italian-American name. I'm sorry, but he's the guy who wrote True Detective. So, I mean, I don't know how much of this is some of what his scenes are or kind of what he brought to it. But, I mean, I think this whole film, I just don't think Fuqua was up to the task of bringing these 7 characters that and 8 if you count the female lead, and I don't know the actress's name, and I completely forgot her name from the actual film itself, or the character's name. You're trying to introduce these 8 people plus Peter Sarsgaard and his villain, and you've only got. I mean, it's 2 hours long. I mean, I don't think he really succeeds in okay, here's his key trait. This is why he's a badass. 30 seconds. Okay, that's done. And I think if this might have been better if it wasn't even Magnificent Seven, if they had, I don't know, tried to reduce the cast a little bit. That might have been a more interesting film.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would have saved it at this point. Yeah, the actress's name is Haley Bennett. She was in The Equalizer, Hardcore Henry, which I haven't checked out yet. I probably still will at some point. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just was really, again, I don't know how I got disappointed because I had no expectations going into this thing. I think it was the tease. How much I enjoyed the beginning of the film with just this standard rote delivery of forgettable action. Another thing too I thought was weird. Was it me, or did all the gun sounds sound the same? Right, I really think the sound design for this wasn't terribly good. Every single gun that was fired, when I'm sure everybody had different guns for the most part, the firing of the shot sounded the same to me. Maybe I had a bad sound system at the theater I was at, but everything had the same sound to it. And for action films, I like the guns to have different, sounds when they're different guns. I don't know, it's a small thing, but it's just something I noticed. And also too, people may not know, this is the last score by James Horner. He passed away about halfway through doing the score, and it was completed by, I guess, a buddy of his, Simon Franklin. But still, it's the last one he did, and unfortunately, it's not a barn burner. And I think part of the issue is you have one of the all-time classic scores for any film with the Magnificent Seven. So that's hard to live up to, and they don't really borrow from it, I think, enough, if at all. In fact, I think one critic wrote this, and I felt this is entirely true. The most rousing scene in this entire film is when the end credits roll and the original theme starts playing, which is just sad.
It is, but that is a great score. It is. Yeah. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember that. Yeah, good stuff.
Or is almost more identifiable than the film.
I would completely agree with that. But we'll get into that in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I got to stop cutting myself off at my knees here. All right, so Matt, if you should get a chance to see the new Magnificent Seven, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Again, too, I think Denzel just handcuffed by not a great script and poor direction. Matt, let's talk about what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's October 4th. First up, it's X-Men Apocalypse. If you get this from Best Buy, you get a steel book. Target's got a digibook. You get a Blu-ray DVD digital copy, Ultraviolet. Can I say Fox, too? Thank you for sticking with the digital copies. They're one of the few studios that still include the iTunes file for their releases. Matt, I got to tell you, X-Men Apocalypse, I think I'm pretty much almost done with this franchise. I've had this. I bought it to Blu-ray, and I've had no urge to watch this again. I know, granted, the Deadpool was fun and exciting and a breath of fresh air, but it's still the core X-Men franchise. I just don't know if there's any stories left to tell that I'm interested in. Where do you come down on that?
Yeah, I'm generally not excited for anything that they release. Marvel's just too good at their own game, I mean, which we saw with when Spider-Man came in, into Captain America, man, I was like, man, that's what we need. It always has to go back under the same umbrella. It'll never happen, but I wish it would. Yeah,
no, especially after the success of Deadpool, it's never going to happen, that's for sure. Swiss Army Man is being released, Matt. Includes a Q&A with the filmmakers, some deleted scenes, and audio commentary. One of the interesting things I've heard about this is Radcliffe is a little upset because it seems all anybody ever remembers about this film is the farting corpse. So I personally got a little more out of it. I really enjoyed it, but yeah, grow up, kids. The Purge Election Year is being released. Matt, the most successful film in that series. It includes some deleted scenes and behind-the-scenes featurettes. I have not seen the last two, but I've seen the first one, and I thought it was all right. But from what I understand, the second one's actually supposed to be better.
Yeah, it is. I did see the second one, and actually, I did enjoy the second one more than I liked the first one. So I don't know. Maybe this third one will be something worth watching.
There you go. Excuse me. Into the Forest is a film starring wow.
Natalie Dormer, dude.
No, it's not Natalie Dormer. See, that's the thing. It's Ellen Page. This is a film starring Ellen Page. Set in the near future, this riveting and suspenseful apocalyptic drama follows two sisters whose peaceful lives are disrupted one day by a worldwide power outage. The sisters must work together in order to survive in this increasingly treacherous new world, fighting intruders, disease, loneliness, and starvation. It's kind of like The Road in a cabin with two sisters. So there you go. And I want to straighten something out, too. Matt said Natalie Dormer because in an edited version of the show, I screwed up originally, so that's not on him. The latest film that stars Tom Middleditch, who's got a bit of a cult comedy guy, right? He's does Silicon Valley on HBO.
Right.
So after his engagement suddenly ends, Joshi and a few of his friends decide to take advantage of what was supposed to be a bachelor party in California. In their attempt to help Joshi deal with the recent turn of events, the guys turn the gateway The Getaway into a raucous weekend full of drugs, booze, debauchery, and hot tubs. Includes the Middle Ditch, Lauren Graham, Adam Pally, Alex Ross Perry, and Nick Kroll. Includes an audio commentary with the writer-director as well as Middle Ditch. Here's a big one for you. You ready for this? Police Academy, all 7 films in a Blu-ray box set.
Wow. I'm going to run right out and get that one.
Yeah, Preacher Season 1 is being released. Includes Blu-ray Ultraviolet. Amazon has a bonus disc of exclusive content that Amazon has deemed fit not to tell us what it is. And it comes with a couple of digital comic books as well. One of the cool special features is a pilot table read where the whole cast sits down and reads through the pilot together. A couple other making of, some costumes, prosthetics, behind the scenes on the way they interviewed God in that one episode. So I'll be picking this up at some point when it gets cheap enough, Matt. But not a lot here, special features-wise, so I'm a little disappointed. Also, I think if you get it from Best Buy, they have a version where you get the first graphic novel. A collection, like the first 5 or 6 issues or whatever it is. Also getting released on Blu-ray is the complete series of Constantine, an unfairly canceled show. I think it really kind of started to get moving in the last 6 episodes or so. Unfortunately, it didn't last. I picked this up actually on iTunes about a week ago, Max. It was $10 for the whole series, and I thought that was probably the cleaner, better way for me to go. New to Blu-ray, Vamp, starring Grace Jones from Arrow Films, is being released. You remember Vamp, Matt? All I remember is the VHS cover when I used to go in the video store.
Yeah, it's the one about the vampire strippers, right, or the vampire prostitutes. Is that what
I believe so. See, Keith, who was played by Chris Makepeace of Meatballs, and AJ, who was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Wants to make the right impression at college. So they devise a plan to get them into the best frat house on campus. They head to the After Dark Club, where they find a stripper for a party that friends won't forget. Instead, they find themselves among vampires, led by Kinky Katrina. There's your Grace Jones, Matt. Includes an all-new high-definition digital transfer. The original mono audio, thankfully. I know the purists out there like that stuff. One of these nights, the making of a brand new documentary featuring interviews with the director and some other stars. There's a bunch of other stuff as well. Criterion is giving us the single Blu-ray disc of Nashville. They had recently released it, Matt, as a dual disc. They had the Blu-ray and DVD. And then about a year ago, Criterion stopped doing that, and now they just do Blu-ray releases. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, the original film that Adam Sandler's Mr. Deeds is based on, gets an Amazon exclusive for a while. 80th anniversary digital book, includes commentary by the director's son, Frank Capra Jr., as well as some other stuff. Matt, straight to DVD. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is relevant, Matt. I don't know if you've been following the news. There's a bunch of jerks out there. Anyway, Clown Town. A couple of friends get stranded in a seemingly abandoned town and find themselves stalked by a violent gang of psychopaths dressed as clowns. So you're really focusing on just, I think, one of the most inherent evils in society, which are clowns. What is it about the clowns, Matt, that is so terrifying?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe just their blank face stares. I really don't know why they're so creepy, but they certainly are. And I don't understand why anybody thinks they're funny.
Was it one of the Carolinas? It was like a guy in a clown suit trying to get kids to come into the woods with him, into a forest.
Yeah, and it's spreading. I mean, there's copycats all over. I think there's even some down in Florida where a couple guys got arrested. Yeah. Yep.
What's wrong with people? All right, Matt, have you been streaming anything this week?
Well, I think the big news for streaming is that Netflix's Luke Cage released yesterday on Netflix, obviously. So this is basically the next series in Netflix Marvel's Originals. It stars basically, what's this dude's name? I forgot. Mike Coulson? Is that right?
Huh?
Coulson's definitely his last name.
Okay.
Colton? Mike Coulter. I'm way off, but I was sort of close.
Ann Coulter?
Huh?
Ann Coulter?
Mike Coulter.
All right.
Mike Coulter.
Very similar.
Yes. As Luke Cage, who basically is an invincible, super strong guy who decides he's going to clean up Harlem in the I guess Netflix Marvel universe. So I've seen the first episode. It was pretty good. This is unique. Insofar as I think basically almost every character in this, and certainly every major character in this, is African American. So this is a really a different take on, or at least a different focus than what you're used to seeing in these superhero films. So we'll see. I would suggest everybody check it out. And Netflix seems to have been getting more confident with these things as they've been going. So we'll see if this one's another slight step up in the series.
Yeah. There's a couple things too that they've released recently, Matt, that I want to check out. Audrey and Daisy, like the documentary about the two women in college who were sexually assaulted and then shamed through social media. It's supposed to be really powerful. The Imitation Game, a Best Picture nominee, not a great film, but still interesting. That just hit as well. Zootopia, which I've been dying to catch up with, is now on there as well. And I think the granddaddy, though, for me, Matt, the one I want to watch the most is that Raiders documentary about the kids who spent all the years, like decades, right, trying to reproduce Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Shot for shot.
So that's on. I'm very excited to check that on Netflix. We may have to work that into the rotation at some point.
All right.
So that's fantastic. All right, Matt, let's move on. Let's hear a clip from... Actually, do you want to discuss the horror stuff now? Or do you want to...
Sure. Let's do it.
So we're going to do a horror marathon for October. And what we're trying to figure out, though, is I guess we want to do 4 films if we can. Yeah. And we gotta figure out what those 4 films are gonna be. So here's what I've brought to the table. Here's ones I've listed. I've gotten it down, Matt, to these 7. For me. I had a total of 12. Okay. So the 7 I have is because I want to mix in some classic stuff as well as something new and some stuff on Netflix. So the original Thing from Another World, which is what John Carpenter's The Thing is based on. I've never actually seen it.
Okay.
Or if we went for a classic film, maybe The Fly, the original one from 1958.
Okay.
Joe Dante's The Burbs, I was considering to throw in a little levity.
Okay.
Rob Zombie's 31 is available for rent on iTunes right now.
Okay.
Tales of Halloween from last year, Neil Marshall. It's one of those anthology horror films, which I always enjoy. Yeah. And then the Visit, the Shyamalan film.
Yeah.
And then the one I think is an absolute must for me, at least out of all of these, the one that's a must is The Invitation, which is on Netflix right now.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
What are you thinking? A couple of my honorable mentions too while you pull it up. Here Comes the Devil, We're Still Here, Rec 4, and Let Us Pray were some of the ones I was considering as well, but I'm not as excited about. What'd you got?
Okay. Well, I definitely want to do I think we should do The Visit, and I think we should do The Invitation. So yeah, I think those are all solid. As far as I hadn't really thought of a classic one. So I guess we can do The Fly. I haven't seen The Fly in a long ass time, so I'd be curious to check that out again. I remember it being kind of corny, but we shall see, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think I mentioned that I wanted to see We Are What We Are. I keep hearing good things about it, but I've never seen it. Although We Are Still Here is something I'd like to check out as well.
Well, what do you want to do then? Because that's like 6.
No, well, it's
yeah.
Let's just do that then. Let's just do Tales from Halloween, The Visit, The Invitation, and The Fly, I guess.
Okay. Sounds good, and we'll work out the order.
Okay.
That's fine. All right, man. Let's take a break then. Let's hear a clip from the original Magnificent Seven.
777, the Magnificent Seven. They were only 7, but they fought like 700 to bring the kind of justice that would last. 777, the Magnificent Seven. They made a brave stand, the Magnificent Seven. They fought for the future to wipe away their past. The Magnificent Seven.
Ride on.
Ride on? Somehow I don't think you solved my problem.
Solving your problems isn't in our line.
We deal in lead, friend.
So do I. We're in the same business, huh?
Only as competitors.
Matt, John Sturge is the original Magnificent Seven. Well, I should just say it's the original's not in the title. The Magnificent Seven, though, is considered a Western classic, right? Has a fantastic cast. You have Yul Brenner, Eli Wallach, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, Robert Vaughn. You have James Coburn. So there's just a heavy hitters group. But keep in mind, a lot of these guys, this is basically their start, right? Like, this is a film that blew up Steve McQueen, launched basically Charles Bronson's career. Same for Robert Vaughn. James Coburn was a struggling actor at the time as well. So a lot of these guys got pushed into the stratosphere because of this film. And of course, with this movie, and I don't think we didn't really do a good job, I think, with the original telling what the movie's about. But for this one, so the first film, you have a bad guy who's has a gold mine, and he is basically has his sheriffs. He's hired guns, keeping these people down, and then it's almost slave labor working on this mine. In the original film, you have a small Mexican village being terrorized by a bandito man, who steals all of their food and valuables as he goes to hibernate for the winter in Mexico, which I can't imagine is that bad, but either way. So what happens is then one of the victims searches out somebody to help save their town, right? So you have that parallel through both films. For this, the original, Matt, The Magnificent Seven. Okay. Is it wrong for me to say that it's? I didn't think it was a classic film. I thought it was a solid B movie. Not a B movie, but as a letter grade, a B plus for me. But I gotta admit, I think the problem is, and it didn't occur to me until we started talking about the original film, is that it's hampered by its time. The style of the time, the acting, the writing, all this stuff is very much trapped in 1960. And I think what's interesting, though, I think, is if I'd watched this in 1960, I probably would have thought a lot of it was revolutionary. But compared to today, it's not. It's a little dull at times, a little drawn out. I think the performances are all universally great in this film, but there's no. I never really felt a huge sense of urgency, and it doesn't have the grandeur, and it doesn't have the epic sweep of the original for sure. Mm-hmm. And when I say the original, I mean the Seven Samurai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I would agree with that. I remember. I remember catching this, and I hadn't seen this movie in years. But as I was putting it into the DVD player, and I'm like, I don't remember. I never watched this movie. And I don't think I've been very impressed with it. And I agree with you. I don't think it's as good as its reputation would suggest. I mean, I think the score is fantastic. It's a classic. I think, to your point, all the principal actors in it are really good. But it seems like they're generally underutilized to me. And I think why it drags so much is there's so many scenes of them just standing around saying nothing, just watch, and that's true. It's not even just them saying nothing. It's like they're watching, I think there's like this 5-10 minute scene of just them watching the denizens of the town celebrate that they're there. And I don't understand why they just stand around watching this for so long. And there's lots of scenes like that where there's no dialogue. They're trying to convey things through just facial expressions, but they're all kind of got the same "I'm a wooden badass" facial expression, so it doesn't really convey any emotion throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a product of its time. It's definitely a much slower pace. When the action does finally kick up, it seems to blow by really quickly in a blur. You're right. I don't think it has kind of like those sweeping vistas that you would expect from, a Leone Western or anything like that, or even anything where it's close to what the original source material it's based on. So yeah, I mean, I would probably even be less generous. I would give it a B, maybe a B minus.
Wow. Yeah, that's whew. I can tell you, if anybody ever actually listens to the show, I think we would just lost both of them. I think a lot of people consider this to be a classic film. And I got to tell you, it's fine. I'll say this, I think it's more fun than the remake. The remake is a lot more dour, but I got to tell you, I don't know if it's as interesting. And I think odd is too, is the original Seven Samurai match, like 3.5 hours long. And at no point am I looking at my watch. This one, I kind of felt like you said, there are long stretches where we're just kind of waiting for something to happen. And then there's some stuff too that is just downright preposterous. Like when a young kid infiltrates Eli Wallach's band of bandits, there's no way they're not going to know he's not one of them. There's no way he's coming out of that alive. And I guess you just have to, again, you got to realize what was going on at the time. But still, I got to tell you, I think one of the interesting things is that it's usually sometimes we say like when a film's a remake of something that, well, it's never as good as the original, or you can't, it ruins. I actually think this movie is helped by the existence of the original movie. I feel like I almost cut it a little more slack because of the existence of the Seven Samurai, because we're transporting that into a Western. Supposedly Kurosawa loved it. So I don't know. But I think it's interesting that where this is, I would not have been as interested. I would not have been as involved if this was not a remake of the Seven Samurai. I don't know why. I can't really quantify that, but I really think that the film is helped by that fact. I don't know.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I don't even know how many people even know that. I mean, it's not immediate leap that you think of, okay, 7 cowboys, 7 samurai, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think, a good amount of people do it, but I don't think it's as common knowledge as you think. So, I don't know. I think it's different enough that you can't really compare it to the source material too much.
If you say so. I got one thing too I really enjoyed too. It made me really appreciate again too Eli Wallach as a character actor. I love that guy. If you're not familiar with Eli Wallach, he was the he was the ugly in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So fantastic character actor. A young Jewish guy from Brooklyn who gets to play all of these Mexican outlaws every now and then. So, but still, good for Eli. Yeah, I gotta tell you, Matt, it was fine. It was fine. I don't know. That's too bad. I feel like I need to hand in my hack critic card because of that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna hold us against us who actually watched the thing.
So if you had a chance to see The Magnificent Seven ever over the last 56 years, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Tell us how wrong we are. So one thing about it too, I think is interesting. When I was reading up on the film, is the little disagreements between Yul Brenner and Steve McQueen. Matt, is that McQueen kept trying to upstage Brenner throughout the film. So even though it was Yul's scene, Steve McQueen would do something so you'd look at him. Like he'd take his hat off and look up into the sun and squint, or he'd move around or something like that. And there's one part where, it's too bad because Yul actually wanted McQueen for the role because he liked him so much. And I guess there was one conversation the two of them had where Brenner looked at him and goes, "Listen, if you take your hat off again in one of the scenes with me one more time, I'm going to take my hat off, and no one's ever going to look at you again throughout this entire film." Anyway, I just thought it was interesting, a fun little story. So anyway, shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's take a break and let's jump into what are the odds. I got some fun ones this week I'm excited to talk about, so we'll be right back.
By the cut of your suit, you went to Oxford or wherever. Naturally think human beings dress like that. But you wear it with such disdain. My guess is you didn't come from money, and your school friends never let you forget it. Which means you were at that school by the grace of someone else's charity, hence the chip on your shoulder. And since your first thought about me ran to orphan, that's what I'd say you are. Well, you are. I like this poker thing. And that makes perfect sense. Since MI6 looks for maladjusted young men who give little thought to sacrificing others in order to protect Queen and country. You know, former SAS types with easy smiles and expensive watches. Rolex?
Amiga.
Beautiful. Now, having just met you, I wouldn't go as far as calling you a cold-hearted bastard.
No, of course not.
But it wouldn't be a stretch to imagine you think of women as disposable pleasures rather than meaningful pursuits. So as charming as you are, Mr. Bond, I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
You noticed.
Even accountants have imagination.
All right, Matt. So here's what are the odds. This is when we apply our Vegas odds making to some questions, and we got to determine what are the odds. So, Matt, why don't you start us off? What do you got this week for this fun little segment?
All right, so I'm sure we've talked about this before, and I know, and I don't even know because as you mentioned in the top of the show, we say these things and we never go back and look at them ever again. So we may have mentioned this, and I'm almost pretty confident we are. But I am so sick of hearing about this, Chris, that I really just want to throw it out there to you, the resident huge James Bond fan. Is Daniel Craig coming back or what? Is this what is this? I mean, I'm just tired of this. I really just wanted to say, you know what? Forget you, Craig. Let's go with somebody new. You don't want to do it, fine. Forget your $200 million. Enjoy your slow decline into irrelevancy. That's what I want them to do, but they won't. They don't seem to want to do that.
That's actually my first question as well. Yes, it is. So I go back and forth on this. Like, Eon Productions has said that Craig is their first choice, right? That's who they want to play James Bond. So, but I know they're playing hardball back and forth. What are the odds he returns? I get kind of a little ticked off at Daniel Craig about all this. The reason why, listen, he was great in Layer Cake, but let's not kid around, all right? The reason why he's the big star he is because of the Bond films.
Right.
It's just a fact. Could he have found mainstream success, and would he have gotten the Dragon Tattoo role or the Invasion role opposite Nicole Kidman if it wasn't for James Bond? I don't know. But, so let's get to it though. Now, what are the odds he returns? I'm going to go... I think it's north of 50-50, that's for sure. Because I think they'll eventually just throw enough money at him. They'll get the right director. Hopefully they'll have a good enough script. The problem is we may go another year out further than we already are right now. But will he come back for at least one more film? I'm going to go 65% on that. But I'm clearly not super sure, but I'm going 65.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, I'm going to say 60% chance he comes back. I think he'd be dumb not to. I mean, I think this is kind of set yourself up for a good, cushy retirement and just do it one more time and suck it up kind of stuff, which makes me worried about what the product will be like that he produces if he doesn't really want to do it. But I think ultimately his greedy human nature will take over and he will do it. So I'm giving him a slight chance that he will. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think too. I don't know if he wants to go out on Spectre. Is that the one you want to go out on? I don't know. So we'll see.
But I mean, there's no guarantee that the next one's going to be any better. I mean, let's be honest. His films have been 50-50 right now. He's done 4, right? And two of them have been, one has been great. One was pretty good or really good. The other 2 have been kind of middling or an unmitigated disaster, depending on who you talk to.
That's a strong one. There's no View to Kills, all right, or even worse, Man with the Golden Guns. In
Quantum of Solace, I still can't even tell you exactly what the hell happened in that movie.
And what one?
Quantum of Solace.
Well, that's because of the writer's strike. I was read the other day, Mark Foster almost pulled out of that film because they didn't have a script because this writer's strike hit just when they started working on it.
Well, it's still pretty terrible. So. It's
not terrible. Not terrible.
Such an apologist.
So Greg Rucka and the artist for the new Wonder Woman comic book, I'm not getting her name right now, but an interview with Rucka supposedly said that it's obvious that Wonder Woman is gay, not just bisexual, gay, because she lives on an island of all women, and they wouldn't have relationships, they wouldn't have romance and sex with all these adults on this island. They wouldn't. Of course they would. And also they say it undermines the fact that she leaves Paradise Island for a man. It undermines her entire character that she would do that. And I agree. I think that actually makes a lot of sense. So Matt, what are the odds that this apparently gay Wonder Woman in the DCU now makes it to the big screen? What if the Wonder Woman in the DC universe now is a gay character?
All right, so we know though that, I mean, the Wonder Woman's the Wonder Woman film is essentially in the bag, right? So I mean, that means if they're going to bring this in, it's going to have to be later on in some other film. I don't know.
Do we know her Steve Trevor relationship? We don't know for 100% that their relationship is a romantic one for sure.
No, we don't. You're right. We don't. We're making an assumption based off of, just decades of watching film. But yeah, we are making an assumption. You're correct. Yeah, I would say, I don't know. I'd say 70%. I think DC or Warner Brothers is cynical enough where if this thing gets enough traction that they'll kind of latch onto it, and obviously it makes a lot of sense, and it can be a way to kind of diversify their films, which I know they've been getting heat from, and I think it could be a good move. I don't know if they would be doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. I think they would be just doing it out of trying to get more butts in the seats and get more positive buzz. But hey, I'm cynical enough to think that they would do it.
Let's hold on a second here, all right, man?
What?
I don't. Given the comic book fan base,
right?
If you announce Wonder Woman is gay officially in these films, you don't anticipate a gigantic backlash against that? You think that would then be putting butts in seats?
Not really. No, I really don't. I mean, and again, maybe I'm being cynical, but knowing comic book fans, I don't think, even though Wonder Woman is one of DC's big three, I think she's, if I'm being frank, I think she's probably the least of the big three from a comic book fan perspective. I don't think she's ever had the pull that she did, that Batman or Superman does. Like, if you came out and said that Batman was gay, people would lose their minds. Like if they were like, yeah, Alfred and Batman have been in a relationship with for the past 20 years, people would lose their minds. But if and same thing with Superman. But I don't think Wonder Woman, I don't think she has that pull. I really don't. And I think anybody who she does have pull with is more from people who grew up watching her Linda or the 70s TV series than it is reading a comic book.
Yeah, I think that might be true. I think that group, which I think sometimes I have to say I'm a part of, but these people will occasionally feel like they need to find something to be upset about, and I think that this would give them reason to. The odds that they make Wonder Woman, I think the first film, I think she's going to be asexual for the most part. They may have subtones of a romance between her and Trevor that don't actually come together. So I'll say maybe. So I think you start out as asexual, and then later on, maybe in her second film, they'll include that too. Because let's put this: I would like for them to avoid sexualizing her as much as possible. I think her uniform, her costume, if you will. I don't know how much that lets that happen, considering but it's. As long as she's not, I don't know. I would just like them to try and not sexualize her as much as possible. So anyway, the odds that she's eventually revealed to be gay, I will say, since we'll probably be 5 to 6 years down the road before that launch happens, I'm gonna one up you, Matt, and go 75%. Okay. That actually will happen.
You think it's going to come out in the Justice League movie? I don't know if they'll have enough. I don't think there'll be enough.
Wonder Woman 2. If it happens, I think that's when it happens. Right. And even then, I don't think they'll make a big production out of it. She'll come back to Paradise Island and see her partner and some whatever. Yeah.
Right. All right. So you ready? We're doing a remake speed round. Okay. I'm going to give you a bunch of remakes, and you tell me the likelihood that they're going to happen. Okay. You ready? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is gonna upset you. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So here we go. American Werewolf in London.
Oh yeah. Like 95% that would happen.
Okay. The Howling.
35. I don't know if there's enough pull for that.
These are now, granted, these are all in development. So
they are.
They all in some form of development. Now, whether they actually see the light of day is another question, or if they descend into development hell. But these are all.
I didn't realize that, so I'll go 6. Yeah. I'll go 55% on The Howling.
Okay,
right, go ahead.
Suspiria.
That thing's been they've been working on that for like 10 years. That one though, I think eventually it'll get done, but it may end up being some crappy straight to video thing. So I'll say 80% on that, because it's just such a beloved thing, that it's a beloved property that a lot of people don't know about. So I think there's a very good chance it would happen.
Okay. Memento. Christopher Nolan is talking about remaking Memento.
What? No, there's no reason.
Well, he's talking about being the one to do it.
He's going to get involved. No, he's going to do something now. He's going to be swimming in Dunkirk money. I don't know if you heard about that, but no, I'm going to go 15% on that. No, don't. Just stop. No. Chris, no, don't do it. No, remake it better this time. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, you ready? Now this is to go. Now, these last two are from our last two.
If you say The Thing, I'm disconnecting this right now.
Well, they already remade The Thing.
No, they didn't. They did a prequel.
A prequel, okay. No, all right. Antoine Fuqua's Scarface.
That's one. All right, that's one of my things here. So, yeah, I wrote Terrence Winter, writer of Wolf of Wall Street, is writing the remake of Scarface for Antoine Fuqua. My question was, Matt, is what are the odds I'll even remotely enjoy this?
So, well, the odds that you're gonna remotely enjoy it are 5%.
Okay. The odds that it actually gets made, I think that I don't know. This is the Magnificent Seven is doing okay. It's not doing great. So, but Fuqua, you know what? He never misses an opportunity to let me down. So I'll say 85%.
Yeah, I mean, as far as enjoying it, I'm gonna say I'm gonna have like a 1% chance that I'm gonna enjoy it because I don't even really like the original Scarface that much. It's not a really good movie in a lot of ways, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
The acting is atrocious, by the way, but yeah, it's not a good movie. So I have no confidence that he's gonna do any better. But yeah, I think it's gonna be 95% chance this abomination sees the lights of day. So
I feel like too. I think that's the film that's responsible for Al Pacino becoming Al Pacino in air quotes.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right on that. All right, and then lastly, Chris, I'm sorry to crush your dreams and hopes here, and we may have talked about this earlier, or we may have alluded to this, but the Seven Samurai.
Ugh.
And when I said the Seven Samurai, it's called the Seven Samurai, but the plot description is. It takes place in modern day. Villagers in Thailand go and get a bunch of modern day mercenaries and private contractors to defend their village from, somebody, I don't know, some paramilitary group. So that's what this is.
Are we gonna have a white superhero kind of bail everybody out again?
Probably.
Matt Damon in the wall or whatever it is.
Yeah, probably.
Who's directing it?
I don't know. Let me see.
Because I got to tell you, my is odds of it getting done. It's like 95%. It's going to happen. Should it be done? That's 2% for me. I think if I had to give it a percentage, I'd go 1. Can I go half? Can I go 0.5%? That it should be done, except for this. Except for this, Matt.
Okay.
You have this film made by Takashi Miike. I may actually have to see that. That I would then want. I would be up to like 98% to see Miike samurai film. I'd have to see that. And he basically did. He already remade it with what the heck what was it called? I own it and I've seen it a couple times. It's really good.
It was like
13 Assassins.
13 Assassins, yeah.
And that's a really good film.
Yeah, that is a good film. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we already see Miike's version anyway. So. All right.
No director attached right now.
Okay. Where do you come down on those?
Werewolf in London, I would say, I don't know, maybe 75%. Howling, probably 70%. Werewolf in London, I don't think they should do. I'm kind of upset that they're doing it. Suspiria, you're right. This thing's been kicking around for so long. I would say 50% chance. Memento, I don't think they should do it all, but I think if Christopher Nolan he's the one who's pushing it. He's the highest paid director in Hollywood, and he seems to be able to do whatever he wants. If he wants to do it, he's gonna do it. So I'm gonna say that's a 65% chance. Maybe he'll just get distracted by something new shiny thing. I'm not saying I want him to do it. I'm just saying
no
that
reason to. The film is there's a timeless quality to that film. So there's no reason to remake it. There's no updates that would be important to have to do.
You're in front of your computer right now. Why don't you pull up your email program and write him a very sternly worded email asking him why he's doing this?
Maybe if it started Shia LaBeouf, I'd be more interested. But not /S. No, whatever. All right, man. I got one more question for you. You ready?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
I don't know if you've seen, they released for not just a week ago, we had the first teaser poster for John Wick 2. This week we got 2 images from John Wick 2, which includes Keanu walking with a new dog. Matt, what are the odds that John Wick's new dog dies too?
Ooh, 98%, man.
98%.
No. You don't think that's going to be the catalyst again?
It can't be. You can't just redo the whole film. It can't be the dog. Maybe it'll be his goldfish. Somebody knocks over the tank and then he goes ape.
Maybe he's got 2 dogs and one of them dies, and then he takes his remaining dog on his path of bloody revenge.
I'm gonna go 5% that the dog dies. They're not gonna do that again. I have to give it.
Dog
I have to give it.
Dog down.
That's what it is. It's basically Keanu remaking the movie Keanu as John Wick.
That's right. That's right.
That is meta. That'd be an incredible film. What about you? I got 5%. Well, because I feel like I have to assign it a percentage because Hollywood can be so just reductive.
Right.
But I still think that's not going to happen. But what about you?
I don't know, man. I mean, 50-50. I'm gonna say 50%. I really don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I have no faith. I have no faith in the Hollywood machine. Although I would laugh my ass off if it happened.
You got to watch some more Sarah McLachlan ASPCA commercials. 50-50.
Only you can prevent the deaths of hitman dogs.
Arms of the angel. So it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, Matt. Don't stop. All right. Do you have any more? That's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think my second question took up a lot of time, so I think we're good.
Awesome. All right. Well, give us an email. Yeah, just give us one. That's the first feedback at thefirstrun.com. Tell us what you think those odds all are. Run down Matt's remake-a-palooza. Tell us what you think. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube as well, where you can watch the video cast, Facebook, and then thefirstrun.com itself. We're going to take an extended break, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Go in peace, my daughter. And remember that in the world of ordinary mortals, you are a Wonder Woman.